Okay, welcome back to Setup inside of Engagifier, the second part of these two videos. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how some of the settings within Engagifier in terms of how your pop-ups behave. So if you go to one of your campaigns that you've created, like here I have one here. If you go to campaign settings, this is where you change the behavior of your pop-up right here. So you can have a few words to describe it. If you're going to have a customized domain, you can do that. But in terms of when and where it's going to pop up, this is where we're going to get into that part. So, and the behavior in terms of, because by default, all these templates are set up so that somebody can refresh the page and see the coupon main screen every time. So they could go in and they could try to win something else, another coupon amount. So we want to change that. And you have some options here depending on your application, like if you're putting it on a order page, the page where it has their shopping cart, their store. Now you can experiment with a couple different ways of having this pop up. Obviously, if you do it on exit, this is where somebody actually went to the store page and left. So I would leave the exit intent on, I would leave that to maybe a cart page. Because if they go to the cart and they look at the cart and then they leave, that means they're essentially either they're going back to the store, or they're abandoning the cart and they're going somewhere else completely. So that would be a better place for a exit pop. And then of course you have a mobile fallback here too on scroll, and then you can determine 50% is probably a good way to go for scroll. You don't want it any sooner than that, because if they're scrolling down to see to view their cart, then we can have it pop up if you're using the scrolling. But on the exit, when they actually leave, I would, depending on the application, of course, if you're going to have this pop up on a cart page where they've added something to their cart and they're viewing their cart, I would go with the exit intent and not have this on the store page. Because if they leave the store page, they could be going back to the website. They could also be leaving, but they haven't really committed to buying anything yet until they hit the shopping cart and they've added something to their cart. When they're on an actual store and they're browsing things to buy, we just want it to pop up after so many seconds. And I recommend a minimum, not 3 seconds, but a minimum of 10 seconds to have it pop up. So you give them some time to look at the items on the store, and then you have the pop-up engaged. But of course, there's a lot of variables here depending on the business you're working with and the application. So you want to experiment with some different things. But you have options here with Engagifier on how you can set the behavior just depending on what the situation is. And you can have it show up on every page of the website, which I don't recommend. We want to have it just on specific pages. If we're doing like a seasonal sale type event where they can, it's a sale they're having, and how much you want to save, and then they click the button and it tells them how much to save. Maybe we have that on the home page. But if it's just an instant discount, we want to leave that to the shopping pages, to the actual store pages. And then you can also exclude certain pages. That would be the actual page names here of a website. So if we just wanted it to maybe pop up on 3 different pages, then the other pages we'd have to exclude those. So it gets kind of tricky when you're doing that, and again, if you have a large site, then it might be better just to do it manually by grabbing the code and putting it on each page independently that you want the pop-up to be triggered, okay? And down here is where we get the or we start changing the behavior, who should see this pop up. Okay, so we don't want the same person to see it over and over again, right? So, but let me back up just a second, go right up to here to number of days. I would set this to at least 5 when you're ready to go. Because if they've closed the pop-up or they didn't take any action, you're going to be showing this pop-up again in 5 days. If we just have 0, it means that they can access this anytime, so they can refresh it and it's going to show it to them again. This puts a 5-day buffer in between that time to where they can't just keep reloading it. Now, down here, we can also control that through here. Who should see a pop-up? New visitors only. So only new people is going to track their IP address. So this will override, like if they come to the page and they get their coupon and they come back to the page later, it's not going to show the pop-up again because they're not new any longer, unless you select returning. Okay, so if you select everyone here and then you go up here and you have 5 days, they're going to be able to see it again in 5 days. They'll be able to see the pop-up again. Okay, but this will override it. So if I go down here and I change this to new visitors only, it means that even though it says number of 5 days, if they're new and they've already arrived on that page where the pop-up is, it won't show it again, even if they come back in 10 days, because they're not new any longer. Okay, so you got to remember, if you want to put a buffer, use everyone here and then change to 5 days or 10 days, however long you want to do it. That way they can still get another coupon later. So if you change it out for that business, maybe you have a different coupon campaign or you have it on a different page, they can still access it, but they just can't get it right away. So they're not going to wait around for 5 days and come back. If they do, it'd be for something else. But for this particular offer, this just keeps them from refreshing, because there's a 5-day buffer in between when they can see the pop-up again. All right, so hopefully that's clear. And if I just want to restrict it to new only, I would use this instead. Okay, but if you're going to run multiple campaigns for this client, for this campaign, you want to make sure this is on everyone, and you just set the timer, the limit in the number of days. Okay, that way it doesn't block them from future campaigns. And then you've got some things where they're coming from everywhere, or if they're just coming from certain domains. If they're advertising from Facebook and they just want to track people that go from Facebook to their shopping cart pages or their store pages, then we would put that information in here for Facebook. That way they know that someone came from Facebook to their store page, and it's only going to show the pop-up for them. So that's just another way of getting more targeted there. And then you can exclude, of course, domains. So if they you can choose domains that you don't want to apply. Okay, so that's essentially how you change the behavior of the pop-up. Just as a rule of thumb, I would use 10 seconds or more if you're putting it on the shopping page where they have a list of all their products or a product for sale. Give them a little bit of time to look at it. If you're putting it on a cart page or add to cart or view your cart, then I would do it on exit intent, to where when they leave that cart, then it pops up and says, hey, you can save. So they see they added something to their cart and it's $100, but then they get a coupon that pops up when they try to leave, says they can save an additional 10%. They may close it out and stay on the cart page. And then experiment with the scrolling and on page close. You can do some testing with that if you want. I would stick with the number of seconds and on exit intent. Of course, you can work with scrolling too in exchange or as a substitute for a number of seconds. Once they get 50% of the page, then you can have it pop up. So if they have a long sales page maybe about the product, you would wait till they get to the bottom of that sales page and there's an order button at the very bottom. You would wait until then to show your coupon. So I'd maybe put this at 75%. 74. So that's when I would actually be showing my pop-up. Okay, so you gotta look at what you're dealing with. You know, the page size. A sales page that has a lot of content. Obviously, we have a pop-up that comes in 10 seconds. It's really not enough time for them to look at the offer. So you use your common sense here. If it's just a bunch of products on a page and they're just shopping on that page, then you can just, oh, by the way, here's a coupon type thing when you're ready to use it. So use your own judgment, but make sure you do change your campaigns, because by default, the template is set up to where it's going to enable the user to refresh that page over and over again and see the coupon page, and it's going to pop up in 3 seconds. So you want to make sure you go in under campaign settings. This is how you edit the campaign if you want to clone it, of course. But this is how you change the behavior of the pop-up that you have. And of course, you can turn it off if you want. If it's temporary, the sale's over or whatever it is, you can turn it off. But I hope that clears up, and there's more information within Engagify for how to use this functionality. But just give you an idea how I use it. Okay? So anyway, that's enough for this video. Thank you very much. Bye now.